everybody, this is Oksana, and today I'm going to show you how to do this type of weaving pattern that uses square wires on the bottom and then these thick half-round wires that you see the pattern with, and then another thinner half-round wire that goes this way. And then while I'm showing how to do this pattern, I thought that I would also show you, since it uses this technique of weaving, how to channel set a small stone into this kind of weave. So basically there's two techniques in this video: how to do this little weave and then how to channel set a little stone. This is not a complete project. I'm not making a piece of jewelry. I'm just showing you those two techniques, and what you do with this is up to you. You can turn this into a bracelet or a ring, or use it as a part of a pendant, or whatever you want, but this is just going to be the technique of how to do this. So if you want to see, then just keep watching. I have 4 pieces of square 19 gauge wire, and they're about 6 inches long, because again, this is just for demonstration. I'm just making a short little weave just to show you the pattern of the weave. And then for the other wires, for the 18 gauge half round, needs to be a little longer. So mine are about 9.5. And then another wire that you're going to need, and I just have this on the spool, is 22 gauge half round. Nice and thin. So the tricky part about this is getting everything lined up nicely. So what I recommend doing is connecting things, like using a little bit of wire that you're going to later unravel, just for the purposes of having everything nice and connected. So first I'm gonna use a little piece of wire and I'm gonna connect these. If you just have like a little scrap wire that you could do that with, that would be good. And the reason for this is it's hard to keep so many wires all nice and straight and together. So if you do this just kind of on the very beginning, it'll at least keep your square wires together for you, instead of trying to keep these together and then put these on top also together. So with the 18 gauge, because it's half round, can you see these are the round part up and this one's the flat side up? So you want them all to be the round side up. So line them all up, and again, I personally think it's easier just to connect all 4 of these together first before you try to put them on top of the square. So I'm going to line them all up just like this. I'm going to take my 22 gauge half round and I'm just going to wrap around to make that connection. Actually, I think this is a little too tight. Be careful, because they will bunch up together, but you want to keep them separate. Like all 4 of them. You want to be able to see all 4 of them. You don't want them to be going on top of one another. So like this. So now what we want to do is we want to put this on top of our square. So because they're all connected, you don't have to worry about them moving out of place, but you do have to hold one on top of the other, like this. And then I'm taking my 22 gauge half round and I'm going to be wrapping that all the way around all of them and just keep them lined up so that, you know, they don't shift. You want one to be directly on top of the other. And since this is going to be our kind of first connection here, I'm going to do quite a few wraps just to make sure that everything is going to stay nice and together. And this is just kind of how to get started on this wrap. All of this can be removed later. It's just nice for now to hold everything together. But then later you can remove it and you can even undo a little bit of this wrap if it's too long for you. So now we're ready to do the weaving pattern. So there's different patterns that you can do. The one that I'm going to do involves picking up the two of these that are the middle two and then leaving the side two in place like this. Now you could just do the top two or the bottom two. You can do different kind of patterns. So now I'm going to wrap my half round wire around, except I'm not wrapping it around these middle two 18 gauge half round wires because I made those stick up. See? Like this. So now I only did 2 wraps. You can do different numbers and that'll make your pattern look different. But I just did 2 and now I put them back down. And now I'm going to pick up the ones that are on the side there. So I'm picking those up and I'm continuing with this. And sorry, these wires hit the camera. And if you want, you can use your pliers just to push that down. See how it's like a little bump there? So pushing it down with pliers can help. So I'm going to do 2 again. And then I'm going to put those back down and I'm going to pick up the other ones, and that's all basically that this is. And again, if you want to, you can use your pliers. And so I'm just going to wrap twice around. 1 and 2. And now I can use my pliers to push that down. And pick the side ones up. One and 2. And here's the pattern that is emerging. You can see it. So I'm just going to repeat this a bunch of times. So if you have got the hang of it, then you can fast forward, but I'm just going to repeat this a few more times. So picking up the middle 2, wrapping twice around here, then putting down the middle 2 and picking up the side 2 and using my pliers to press those down. Now picking up the middle 2 and putting down the side 2, kind of pressing them down a bit. Okay, so now I'm going to do something a little different because I want to show you another thing that you can do with this type of weave. So now I'm pressing those ones down, and I have all 4 of these wires lined up together now. So I'm not following the pattern, I'm just connecting all of them together. Like this. And the reason that I did that is because I'm going to be using all 4 of them to channel set a stone. Now you can use just 2. If you wanted to, you could have just used the middle 2. But I want to show you how to do it with a slightly larger stone. This way you have the option. If you have a really tiny stone, you can use just the middle 2. But if you have a larger stone, you can use all 4 of them. So I just kind of separated them into 2 and 2. I'm going to grab my stone, which is a little opal. Here, I can measure it for you. Let's see here. It is, I want to say like 7 millimeters, roughly. Okay, so this part is hard because it's slippery, but you're putting the stone in here, and you are kind of pressing these half-round wires down around the stone. So it's kind of like this, but you want them to open a bit so that your stone is nice and trapped and it can't come out the sides. Like if you leave too much of a hole here, it can slip out the side. So you want this to kind of cover the side a bit. And then what you want to do, and I'm going to work on that on the sides in a second, but I'm just going to take it out for a second. Okay, so I removed the stone. Here we have the nice like little bump that the stone's going to sit in. What I want to do is I want to wrap this half round 22 gauge wire around these base wires here, just to get it to the end of here, because the wire is over here, and then if you want to start wrapping, it's like a big gap for it to go through. Now you could theoretically end and cut off your wire and then start again. That would be another way to get past this gap, or just kind of have it go all the way across here. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this until it is the size of the stone. And then you just want to squish that down a bit with your pliers. Now I'm going to test, nope, a little bit more. So just keep doing that and then keep checking. Alright, so I think that is good now. So I'm going to put my stone in. I'm going to put these down. I'm going to press them down here with my pliers. And then I'm going to wrap this half round wire around them. I'm just trying to have them lined up nicely together. So here I have 2 little wraps. We're going to basically mirror that. I had the 2 little wraps, and then I had the 2 middle wires going up. So I'm going to wrap twice and put those 2 wires down. And then the side wires get lifted up. And we are back to our normal pattern. Okay, just like that. So here what you want to do is you want to make sure that this little side gap is not very large, because you don't want your stone popping out. So with your pliers, just gently and carefully move those half round wires on the very edge of the stone so that the stone does not pop out the side for you. And this is a nice thick, sturdy wire, the 18 gauge half round. So it should be good for a stone this size. Okay, so then this little window is also too small, so the stone won't pop out the front, and it can't pop out the sides now, and so it is all set now. It has been set, so the only thing to do would be just to continue this pattern if you wanted to, but it just depends on what you want to do with this, whether you want to make this like a bracelet, or you could make it a ring. Obviously for a ring you might want to use smaller wires, and this will work with other sizes of wires as well. This was just for example. This is kind of a larger, larger, thicker wires here. So here now you can take off these extra little pieces that we use just to hold this together. So you just have a lot of wire ends here. You just have to find a way to finish them off. You can maybe just kind of bend them, almost like with round nose pliers, like a little round loop type thing there. You could make swirls or something with them. Lots of different things that you could do, but you just have to, you can connect them to something, like say you're making a big pendant and you want this with maybe lots of stones to kind of go down the side of a pendant. You would use these to connect it to your pendant. So lots of different ways that you can use this, but just wanted to show you the technique and how to do this little weaving pattern and how to channel set a stone. So that is it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.